Hey, it's Adam Grant from Work Life, a podcast from TED. This episode is brought to you by Freshworks. Freshworks believes that complexity is the enemy of efficiency. So stop wrestling with bloated, expensive service software that takes forever to implement an update, where ROI is someday, not today. You've been overcharged and underserved for way too long. Uncomplicate with Freshservice for IT and Freshdesk for customer support. And with Freshworks AI-assisted service software, you'll work smarter, not harder. Freshworks uncomplicates. Learn more at freshworks.com.
7 things you don't really need to know, but probably should. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Sunday 7.
I'm Ciara Evans in for Jamie East this week, and on today's episode of the award-winning Sunday 7, we find out where America is turning against vaccines, whether or not Vladimir Putin could live to 150, and why sharks are worried about their teeth. Plus, Will Guyatt, the Smart 7's resident tech guru, explains how big tech is clocking up some big wins and why the government wants to ping you on Sunday. If you're enjoying our episode, please do like and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We're here 7 days a week at 7 a.m. with the 7 biggest stories on the Smart 7 in association with Metro. Before we get started, though, it was on this day in 1888 that the first ever baby incubator was used in the US. The baby was Edith Eleanor McLean, and she was born in New York, weighing only 2 pounds and 7 ounces. The hatching cradle, as it was first known, was designed by 2 maternity ward doctors, Alan Thomas and William Deming, and turned out to be a critical piece of maternity technology. This week has seen vaccines in the spotlight as America's healthcare infrastructure appears to be in the grip of conspiracy theorists. When Donald Trump appointed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the health secretary for the United States, senators from both parties grilled him at his confirmation hearing over his previous history as a conspiracy theorist, particularly around vaccines. He assured them that he would follow the science, but it appears that he's done the exact opposite. Wave after wave of credible and experienced experts have quit or been fired from the US Centre for Disease Control, and RFK dismissed all the members of the US's expert vaccine panel and replaced them with fringe science figures and fellow conspiracy theorists. Republicans seem keen to fall into line, and this week saw Florida's State Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Lapado make a significant announcement.
The Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governors, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. All of them. All of them. It's wrong. It's immoral. They do not have the right to tell you what you put in your body.
The whole point of vaccines is that many people need to be vaccinated to establish herd immunity and stop diseases circulating in communities. That's why vaccines have been mandated for common but deadly diseases like measles or polio. However, the new Trump administration approach does not appear to be based on science. And Dr. Mehmet, who was a TV presenter and is now in charge of Medicaid and Medicare, seems to be on the same page as his boss when it comes to vaccines.
I would definitely not have mandates for vaccinations. This is a decision that a physician and a patient should be making together. The parents love their kids more than anybody else could love that kid, so why not let the parents play an active role in this?
As vaccine rates fall, the US has seen outbreaks of diseases that were considered extinct, including measles, and the health secretary has also promised an investigation into the links between vaccines and autism, although real scientists have already debunked those claims. Dr. Richard Besser, who was a former acting director of the CDC and now president and CEO of the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation, says that RFK Jr. has put America on a dangerous course.
I'm very concerned. When he was being confirmed to be secretary, one of the things he said is don't listen to him for scientific advice. He's not a scientist. But since he has become secretary, he very frequently is making scientific proclamations that have absolutely no basis. So I'm worried as to what he'll say. There's incredible research going on to try and understand the many causes of autism and how to provide the best services for people who are on the autism spectrum. I don't see this as a secretary who's going to follow the science. He has been following ideology from day one.
In the UK, we've also seen a decline in vaccine rates, with childhood vaccination rates as low as 60% in some local authority areas, and the overall vaccination rate has fallen below the World Health Organization's recommended 95%. There are still new breakthroughs in vaccines coming too, thanks to mRNA technology, and this week saw the the announcement of a rollout of the UK's first NHS chickenpox vaccine. Dr. Adam Finn is a professor of paediatrics at Bristol University, and he says it's good news.
This is something that's long overdue, in fact. This vaccine's been around for decades and been being used in North America and more recently in Europe, in several countries for a long time. So unusually, the UK has been dragging its feet and is behind the curve on this. Chickenpox is something we really need to get rid of, and we've got the tools to do it. Within a couple of years of this program starting, chickenpox will simply not happen in this country anymore.
It's that time of the week where we need to get up to speed on all of the big stories in tech. That can only mean one thing. It's time to ping the Smart 7's tech guru, Will Guyatt. Hey Will, speaking of pinging, we're all expecting a notification from the government today. Is that right?
Well, almost all of us. You need to be using an Android or an Apple smartphone, or it's likely you won't be getting it if you're on an old school Nokia.
So what exactly happens at 3 p.m?
You're going to receive a message that's accompanied by a very loud and attention-grabbing siren, and this message will acknowledge that this is a test. The whole process goes on for about 10 seconds, and if it works properly, you just acknowledge the message and you get on with your day. Well, that's the theory, because the first time they tested this 2 or so years ago, they had some issues, particularly with the free mobile network, and had to do a follow-up test with those on that network a week or so later. It's suggested that around 55 million devices across the UK are likely to receive this alert, so it might feel a bit discombobulating for those in a supermarket or a sporting event or something like that at 3 p.m. today. Intriguingly, there seems to be a vocal group of people encouraging people to switch these alerts off, randomly including one of the largest Clarkson Farm fan pages on social media. We should probably stick to Japes on Crinkly Bottom Farm, or whatever it's called. So, unless you have a real reason to turn this off, leave it on, because it could actually save someone's life at some point.
What would this be used for?
This is the best possible way the government can try and reach us if there's, and I quote, a risk to life. So far it's been used for a couple of big dangerous storms and an unexploded World War II bomb, which certainly both pass the risk definition. Perhaps the elephant in the room is that this would certainly be used if a foreign country attacked the UK. In 2025 we've all got double glazing and we have no other form of advance warning since the end of the Cold War. Let's just hope the system doesn't need to be used in anger too often, and the government of the day doesn't suddenly start using it to bark less important messages at us.
Last year we saw plenty of big tech versus big law battles, but this year it seems like big tech is having an easier time of it. What was the news Google got this week?
Under the previous US president, it looked like there was a chance Google might be forced to sell its Chrome browser due to its dominance in online search. But in the last week, they've avoided this worst-case court scenario as the judge decided not to make them do it. The judge said they didn't need to sell Chrome because of the rise of AI in online search, which is likely to totally disrupt the status quo as more of us rely on chatbots than search engines. That said, the judge decided Google needs to share certain information with a list of so-called qualified competitors to be chosen by the court. But Google can still do these multi-billion-dollar deals with companies like Apple and Samsung to ensure their search remains prominent on your latest mobile phone.
They'll be happy about that, right? Is this down to the Trump administration?
The champagne won't be pouring at Google HQ for long, as the regulators have another chance to potentially break up the online giant later this month in a case where it's accused of being dominant in advertising technology. That said, there's a different atmosphere in Silicon Valley since Trump took over. There's less of an appetite to penalise tech companies for success and dominance, and dare I say it, this has actually emboldened the behaviour of some of these tech bosses who are being backed to be aggressive, because apparently, according to the president, that's what good businesses do. And tech execs have closer, far more cordial relationships with the Republican administration than they did with the Democrats. Make of that what you will.
Melania Trump played host to some big hitters last Thursday at the White House. What went on?
I almost spat out my tea when a live press conference came up on the screen from the White House. We saw the First Lady taking to the stage to say, "The robots are here and our future is no longer science fiction." Turns out she was chairing a White House task force on artificial intelligence education, and she said that AI could potentially be the greatest engine of progress in the history of the United States. Intriguingly, she was surrounded by execs from many of the world's biggest tech companies because the meeting tied in with a dinner event at the White House for tech CEOs at the newly renovated Rose Garden. Those kissing the Trump ring included Mark Zuckerberg from Meta, Tim Cook from Apple, Sam Altman from OpenAI, and even the daddy of all tech kings, Bill Gates, formerly of Microsoft. It's not known what was discussed at the dinner, but there's one important name missing, a guy called Elon Musk. Have you heard of him?
And finally, Will, some good internet news. What is coming to YouTube?
This is indeed great news. After a bit of uncertainty around the future of Sesame Street, with Trump suggesting it was woke and HBO pulling its broadcast TV funding, Sesame Workshop, the non-profit organisation that's made the show since the 60s in the US, has just signed a new deal with YouTube, as well as one with Netflix, to keep the show alive. But thanks to this new expanded YouTube deal, the platform becomes the largest digital library of content from Big Bird, Oscar, Elmo and the rest of the crew. And there's going to be hundreds of classic episodes going online from January next year. YouTube appear really pleased about this deal, reporting that Sesame Street got over 5 billion views on the platform last year, growing significantly as parents and kids look to move beyond some of the absolute brain rot passing as kids' TV on the platform. And if this wasn't cool enough, the team at Sesame Workshop, who clearly know how to make great kids' TV, are going to lead seminars for the next generation of YouTubers to ensure they can also create content that's entertaining and educational at the same time. Win-win.
Still to come on the Sunday 7, in association with Metro, Ireland is buzzing about Asian hornets and why Vladimir Putin might be around for a long time. The UK has been battling to prevent the spread of the Asian hornet for some time now, with a dedicated team at the Animal and Plant Health Agency targeted with locating and destroying any nests as quickly as possible. The large hornet does not pose a threat to the public, but can be lethal for the honeybee population in particular. And so far the agency have located and destroyed 64 nests this year, but remain confident that the species has not fully established as of yet. The last week has seen the invasive species pop up in Ireland in the southern city of Cork, and it's caused a serious buzz as the environmental protection team swung into action. Bhrian is the Director of International EU Affairs for the Irish National Parks and Wildlife Service, and she says the fact that the nest was found intact could be hugely important.
This is vitally important that we have found the first nest in Ireland, and we are hoping to recover it intact so that we can have a look to see how advanced was it, how developed was it, what stage were the insects inside it. Every day we were getting reports that we were getting closer and closer, just using the triangulation method. They were monitoring the hornets arriving at the bait station, tagging them with a little bit of marker paint, watching how long it took them to come back to the bait station, and using the times that they took to leave and come back to try and estimate where it was.
Colette O'Connell is the Public Relations Officer for the Irish Beekeepers Association, and she told RTE Radio that it's vitally important for the public to get involved and protect the native bee populations.
We're very, very concerned because this insect is a carnivore, it's an apex predator. It will wreak havoc. We know from the Atlantic Positive research, and we've seen it as well, it has wreaked havoc in Europe. They did a survey in 2020 of 400 beekeepers in France, Spain and Portugal, and they found that just under 8 million was spent by them just to protect their honeybees. It didn't actually stop the hornet wreaking havoc, and it didn't take into account the huge number of beekeepers in desperation who gave up beekeeping, having seen what the insect did.
This week saw Russian President Vladimir Putin on a 4-day trip to China, where he met with leaders including Indian Prime Minister Modi, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and of course Chinese Premier Xi Jinping. The Russian leader attended a Victory Day parade and was busy building alliances to assist with his ongoing war in Ukraine. However, a conversation with the Chinese leader on a hot mic as they walked towards the event generated worldwide interest, as it sounds like the 72-year-old Putin is hoping to be around for quite some time to come. This is the translated audio from the conversation.
In the past, people rarely lived longer than 70 years, but today they say, that at 70 you are still a child. Human organs can be continuously transplanted. The longer you live, the younger you become, and you can even achieve immortality.
This may sound alarming, but is it factually correct? Times Radio spoke to science editor Rhys Blakely, and he says there's some truth in the speculation.
I don't think there's much prospect of Vladimir Putin living to 150. The science isn't that advanced, you might be glad to hear, but there's a new facility on the edge of Cambridge called Altos Labs, really sort of hiring scientists on kind of sports star salaries. They're looking at cellular reprogramming. Basically, you can take old cells, bathe them in a special cocktail of proteins, and they regress to this kind of embryonic state. But apart from that, you've got drugs that people are hoping to repurpose for longevity. So that'd be stuff like rapamycin. It's a drug that is used to suppress the immune system when people have organ transfers. There's been lots of buzz around that. There are anti-senescent drugs. These are drugs that are supposed to flush sort of these zombie cells, kind of old cells that have gone sort of past their sell-by date but refuse to die in the body. These kind of accumulate with age, and they pump out these sort of toxins that cause inflammation. And there have been trials with people who are very old and frail becoming slightly less old and frail after being given these treatments.
Still to come on the Sunday 7 in association with Metro, Sweden joins the space race and we meet a spiky dinosaur.
Right after this.
Ever felt defeated by cravings? You're not alone. Henry Meds is here to help support your weight management journey.
Since I joined 4 months ago, I've lost 25 pounds and it has changed my life.
Henry Med's personalized compounded GLP-1 meds shipped to your door. Take back control with treatments designed to reduce appetite. Schedule a free online evaluation with a licensed provider at henrymeds.com/audio and get $100 off your first month. Results may vary. Not all patients are eligible. Compounded medications are not FDA approved. Consult a healthcare provider to determine if treatment is right for you.
Welcome back.
We've covered the UK space race before in the Sunday 7, with the UK Space Agency developing a number of sites for potential rocket launches from the UK. The most advanced project is the Shetland Islands, with full licences for vertical rocket launches and a plan to do its first test launches this year. But now Sweden is getting in on the act too, partly because America is no longer seen as a reliable partner in a world where Donald Trump is focused on America first. The Swedish facility is located in a forest in the northern Kiruna region of Sweden, and they have big plans, as Matthias Abrahamsson, the commercial director of the Swedish Space Corporation, explains.
We have a 5,200 square kilometre area stretching from here and north almost to the tip of Sweden, where Sweden, Norway and Finland merged, so to say. And that area is totally uninhabited, and the only thing you're allowed to do is actually what we do. We launch rockets into the area. There's a need for a lot of more satellites being up in the air due to the fact that you need more and more data. Europe doesn't have a launch base in continental Europe. The only place that Europe launched from is from South America.
Ulrika Onell is the head of the Orbital Launches and Rocket Test Division at the Swedish Space Corporation, and she says access to space is increasingly important.
It's important to society because we all need data. All those apps and all those applications that need data as a base. So there's a huge growing need for more satellites in orbit. We will go from 8,000 to 55,000 satellites until 2030. So that is a booming business opportunity.
Even though they've been extinct for millions of years, the world remains fascinated with dinosaurs. Whether it's Jurassic Park, children's toys or travelling exhibitors, there's an abiding fascination with the enormous reptiles, and there's no sign of it letting up either. This week saw a new type of dinosaur revealed, which seemed to have been one of the strangest yet discovered. The study published in science journal Nature was based on original analysis of a fossil found in Morocco in 2019 and updated based on more newly discovered remains. Uniquely, the dinosaur seems to have had long spikes and armour fused together along with a spiky tail that could have been used as a weapon, which has given the dinosaur its nickname, the punk rocker, or more properly, Spike O'Melius. Professor Richard Butler from the University of Birmingham was co-leader of the project to reconstruct the remains.
It is one of the weirdest dinosaurs that we've ever discovered. Some of these spikes look like nothing else that we've seen in ankylosaurs before. So previously, when Spikomyces was first discovered, it was named from a fragment of rib. We now know for certain that it belongs to a group of dinosaurs called ankylosaurs, the armored dinosaurs. And we know that it's really much weirder than we even would have imagined. But we're also really expanding our idea of what dinosaurs look like. Our reconstruction of the animal, they're created by a specialist artist, a paleo artist. We now have much of a skeleton. All of the ribs along the body have these large spikes coming out of them, and 3 to 4 per rib. Around the neck, it has something that looks like a kind of an armor collar, but it has spikes coming out of it, which are up to 1 meter in length. I mean, they're incredible.
The rising CO2 levels in the world are contributing to global warming, but they also have an impact on the world's oceans. Increased CO2 leads to higher pH level in seawater, which means that the seas are becoming more acidic, and that is having an effect on the creatures that live there. This may sound like a mixed blessing, but a new study has shown that one of the impacts of increasingly acidic water is that sharks' teeth are being damaged. Maximilian Baum is a biologist at the Heinrich Heine University in Dusseldorf, and he was the lead author of the study.
We discovered that oceanic acidification can damage shark teeth, and we know for many, many years that it corrodes also the shells of mussels and also coral skeletons, but now we discovered that also shark teeth are affected. Sharks can replace their teeth, this is one good news, but they have to produce new teeth, and this could be harder in more acidified water, and we also know that it sometimes takes maybe months or years to use one teeth and to replace it, so one teeth is exposed a very long time to seawater.
This has been the Sunday 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the regular Smart 7. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.
What's it like to care for someone who's sick? To wait for answers, to hope for healing. These are the moments our nation's healthcare teams and their patients face every single day. And it's why we do what we do. We're Siemens Healthineers, and we pioneer breakthroughs in healthcare for everyone, everywhere. Across the country, from rural communities to busy cities, our medical imaging, therapy, and laboratory solutions help providers deliver care that can be smarter, faster, and more precise. With more than 17,000 employees across the United States, we're driving innovations that support healthcare teams, strengthen systems, and truly change people's lives. Because for us, it's about more than technology, more than innovation. It's a promise, built for generations. Siemens Healthineers.